You weren't born soft. The world made you that way. Slowly, quietly, one compromise at a time. One, maybe tomorrow. One, I'm not ready yet. And before you even noticed, you became someone you never planned to be. Comfortable, forgettable, small. But somewhere underneath all of that settling, there's a version of you that hasn't given up. A version that's been watching you waste years. That version is done waiting. This isn't a speech about motivation. This is a reckoning. And by the time we're done here, the old you should be terrified of what's coming. Nobody talks about the moment before everything changes. They talk about the success, the transformation, the man who made it. But nobody wants to sit in the silence that comes before all of that. That cold, dark, uncomfortable space where you look at your life and you realize it doesn't match anything you imagined it would be. That silence is where most people quit. Not loudly, not dramatically. They just stop. They put the dream in a drawer. They tell themselves they're being realistic. They call it maturity. They call it wisdom. But deep down, in the part of themselves they never show anyone, they call it what it really is. Defeat. You've been in that silence. Maybe you're in it right now. And here's what I want you to understand. That silence isn't the end. It's the beginning. But only for those who refuse to let it swallow them whole. There's a line from a man. A fictional man, yes, but built on truths that are very real. Thomas Shelby, the architect of his own empire, a man forged in war and sharpened by suffering, once operated from a simple principle. By order of the Peaky Blinders, every decision, every move, every breath, it's calculated, nothing wasted, nothing accidental. That's not a television character trait. That's a philosophy, and it applies to your life more than you think. The men and women who change their lives don't do it because the timing is perfect. They don't do it because they felt inspired one afternoon. They do it because they sat in that silence, really sat in it, and they made a decision that from this point forward, they were going to be the most dangerous version of themselves. Not dangerous to others, dangerous to their own limitations. Dangerous to the excuses they've been carrying around like old furniture. Heavy, useless, taking up space. That silence before the storm, that's yours right now. The question is what you do with it. At some point, someone told you who you were, and you believed them. Maybe it was a parent. Maybe it was a teacher who marked your paper and marked your ceiling at the same time. Maybe it was a friend who laughed when you said what you wanted. Maybe it was a boss who looked at you like you were replaceable. And you started looking at yourself the same way. You absorbed that version of yourself. You wore it so long, it started to feel like skin. But it was never yours. Here's the brutal truth that nobody in your life is comfortable enough to say to you. Most of the limitations you carry aren't real. They are inherited. They were handed to you by people who had already given up on themselves and needed company in the giving up. You've been performing someone else's expectations of you your entire life, and you've become so good at the performance that you started to confuse it for identity. Stop. Thomas Shelby didn't inherit an empire. He inherited poverty, trauma, and a post-war mind that would have destroyed a weaker man. What he didn't do, what he refused to do, was let anyone else's definition of a Shelby boy be the final word. He rewrote that definition with every calculated move, every sleepless night, every battle he chose to walk into rather than run from. Now, he's fictional, but the blueprint is real. The people who build themselves into something extraordinary don't do it by living within the lines that were drawn for them. They do it by picking up the pen, by deciding that the story being written about them by other people's opinions, other people's doubts, other people's smallness, that story ends today. Who told you that you weren't capable of more? Trace it back, find it, look at it clearly, and then ask yourself, what did that person build? What did that person become? Did they live the life they were proud of? Or did they hand their doubt to you because they never dealt with their own? You are not the sum of what others believed about you. You are what you decide to become. Every single morning, one decision at a time. Let's be honest about something you don't say out loud. You are at war, not with the world, not with your circumstances, with yourself. There are two versions of you fighting for the same body every single day. There's the version that wants to sleep in, that wants the easy path, that wants to scroll, consume, and numb itself into comfortable irrelevance. And then there's the version, quieter maybe, but absolutely relentless, that knows you're meant for more than this, that knows you haven't even scratched the surface of what you're capable of. Every morning is a battle, every decision is a skirmish, and most days the comfortable version wins, not because it's stronger, but because it shows up first. It's always there before the alarm goes off, already negotiating, already offering you reasons to wait one more day. The version of you that's capable of something real, that version needs you to stop giving the comfort self the first word. In the world of Peaky Blinders, Thomas Shelby is a man at perpetual war, with enemies, with family, with the government, with his own demons. But what makes him compelling, what makes him, on some level, something people look to as a dark ideal, is that he never pretends the war isn't happening. He looks at it directly, he names it, and then he makes a plan. You need to do the same. Name the war you're in. Is it laziness? Is it fear of judgment? Is it the paralysis that comes from wanting something so badly you're terrified to try and fail? Is it the comfortable mediocrity that pays your bills and slowly kills your ambition? Name it. Look at it. Don't perform strength. Actually find it. Because the men and women who transform themselves don't do it by ignoring the darkness inside them. They do it by understanding it. By sitting across the table from the worst version of themselves and saying, I see you. I know what you want. And I am choosing something different. That is not a small act. That is one of the hardest things a human being can do. Most people will never do it. They'll call it self-awareness without ever practicing it. They'll nod along to podcasts and then make the same choices they made yesterday. You're still reading, which means some part of you already knows you're not most people. The question is whether you're willing to show up to the war and actually fight. You've been waiting to feel motivated. You've been waiting for the morning you wake up energized, clear-headed, hungry. You've been waiting for the stars to align before you start. That morning isn't coming, not the way you imagine it. Motivation is a visitor. It shows up when it wants, stays as long as it wants, and leaves without notice. Building your life on motivation is like building a house on weather. Some days it holds, most days it collapses. Discipline is different. Discipline is the decision you make when motivation has left the building. Discipline is showing up anyway. Discipline is doing the work when it's ugly, when it's boring, when no one's watching and there's no dopamine hit waiting for you on the other side. Thomas Shelby didn't build the Shelby Company Limited on inspiration. He built it on relentless, methodical, structured action. Every move planned, every contingency considered. No drama, just execution. The man didn't wait to feel like it. He decided, and then he moved. That's the model. You don't need to feel ready. Readiness is a myth people tell themselves to justify inaction. The people who changed their lives didn't feel ready. They felt scared, uncertain, and underprepared. They moved anyway. Start with the thing you've been avoiding the longest. Not because it's easy, because it's the thing that's been holding the rest of your life hostage. The email you haven't sent, the business plan you've never written down, the conversation you've been too afraid to have, the morning routine you keep saying you'll start on Monday. Monday is a lie you've been telling yourself. The day is today, the time is now, and the command is simple. Move. Not perfectly, not with full confidence, not with a guarantee of success. Move anyway. Move because the only thing standing between the version of you that exists right now and the version of you that you know is possible is action, repeated, consistently, regardless of feeling. Discipline is not a personality trait, it is a practice skill. You build it by showing up when you don't want to, by keeping promises to yourself when no one else would know you broke them. That's where character is built, in the private moments, in the choices no one sees. Look around you. The 5 people closest to you. What are they building? What are they becoming? What do conversations with them leave you feeling energized and sharper, or drained and smaller? This is not about cutting people off callously. This is about being ruthlessly honest about the environment you're choosing to exist in. Because environment is not a background detail. Environment is not a background detail. Environment is destiny. The conversations you have daily shape your thinking. The mindset of the people around you either expands your ceiling or quietly, invisibly lowers it. Most people's circles are a mirror of their limitations, not because those people are bad, but because comfort seeks comfort. Mediocrity is magnetic, and the moment you start to want more, the moment you start to change, you will feel resistance from the people who benefited from your stagnation. Thomas Shelby kept a small, trusted circle, and even within that circle he was selective. Selective about who got access to his plans, his doubts, his real thinking, not out of arrogance, out of protection, because he understood that your vision is fragile in its early stages, and the wrong word from the wrong person at the wrong moment can kill it before it breathes. Your dreams are fragile right now. Protect them accordingly. This doesn't mean you become cold. It means you become conscious. Conscious of who you share energy with. Conscious of who you allow to define what's possible for you. Conscious of the difference between people who challenge you to grow and people who challenge your decision to try. Upgrade your inputs. Read different books. Find different conversation. Seek people who are already doing what you want to do and study them, not to copy, but to understand that it's possible. That people like you, with fears like yours, with pasts like yours, made it to the other side. Your circle is either a launch pad or a cage. You get to decide which one it is. Here is a question most people never seriously answer. What do you actually want? Not what you think is realistic. Not what your parents wanted for you. Not what your current salary suggests is achievable. Not the safe version. Not the edited version designed to avoid disappointment. What do you actually want your life to look like? If you can't answer that question clearly, then you are living reactively. You are responding to whatever life throws at you rather than directing it towards something specific. And a life without direction is just drift. Slow, comfortable, ultimately hollow drift. The most dangerous thing about having no vision is that it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels fine. It feels normal. You get up, you do the tasks, you come home, you watch the screen, you sleep, you repeat. And the weeks become months, and the months become years, and one day you look up and a decade has passed and you're still exactly where you were. That is the real horror, not failure, stagnation. Thomas Shelby, whatever else you want to say about him, was a man of vision. He saw something others couldn't see. He planned 3 steps ahead when everyone around him was reacting to the present. He built towards something, and that vision, clear, specific, unwavering, was what separated him from everyone who stood in his way. You need a vision that specific, not a vague feeling that things should be better. A specific, concrete, almost unreasonable picture of what you're building toward. Write it down, today. Not a paragraph, a picture. What does your life look like in 5 years if you stop making excuses and start making decisions? Where do you live? What do you do? What do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Who is around you? What have you built? Make it real in your mind before it can be real in your life. And then, and this is the part most people skip, build backward from that vision. What does this year need to look like? This month? This week? Today? Vision without a plan is just a daydream. A plan without action is just a document. You need all 3, the vision, the plan, and the daily action that connects them. There's a version of you that hasn't existed yet. He's not waiting for a sign. She's not waiting for permission. They're not waiting for the right moment, the right partner, the right economy, the right season of life. That version of you is waiting on one thing only. A decision, a real one, not the kind you make in a high moment and abandon by Thursday, the kind that changes the way you move through a room, the kind that changes how you talk to yourself at 2 a.m. when it's dark and hard and no one's watching, the kind that rewires how you see your own reflection. That version of you is more disciplined than you currently are, more focused, more intentional, less reactive, less emotional about the wrong things, more emotionally available for the things that actually matter. That version of you has already failed a few times and kept going anyway. That version of you has been uncomfortable often and moved through it instead of around it. That version of you doesn't need external validation to feel solid, because they've done the internal work that creates a foundation no one can shake. That's not a fantasy, that's a direction. Thomas Shelby, a man who carried the weight of war, of loss, of choices no one should have to make, was not born the man he became. He was forged, deliberately, painfully, by circumstances he refused to be destroyed by, and decisions he made while looking directly into the darkest parts of himself. You won't build the best version of yourself in comfort. You won't find it in the easy path. You'll find it in the doing of the hard thing, when the hard thing is the only thing left that will actually move you forward. And here's what I want you to hold on to. The old version of you, the one that's been running on autopilot, the one that's been choosing comfort over growth, that version should be looking at what you're about to become with something close to fear, because you are capable of something that version never believed was possible, and you're only just starting. Let me be straight with you about something. This transformation, the one you're thinking about, the one you're feeling stirring somewhere underneath the routine and the noise, it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you time. You're going to have to give up hours you currently spend on things that feel comfortable but produce nothing. The late night scrolling, the passive evenings, the time you pour into entertainment while your own story gathers dust. It's going to cost you relationships. Maybe not permanently, but there will be friction when you start to change. Some people around you will feel it as a judgment of their own choices. They won't say that, but they'll feel it, and they'll push back. It's going to cost you your ego, because growth requires the willingness to be a beginner, to not know, to look foolish in the early stages of something you eventually master. And the ego hates that. The ego wants to already be great, which is exactly why the ego keeps people from ever becoming it. There will be days when it doesn't feel worth it, when the progress feels invisible, the sacrifice feels real, and the result feels impossibly far away. On those days, and they will come, you have to remember why you started. Not just the goal, the reason under the goal. The version of yourself you're fighting to become. The life you refuse to leave on the table. The people you want to show. Your kids, your younger self. The person who doubted you, that it was possible all along. The cost is real, it's steep, and it's worth every single thing it takes from you. Because what it gives back is something no one can take away. A self-built, self-proven, unshakable sense of who you are and what you're made of. No one can hand you that. You can only earn it. And you earn it on the hard days, not the easy ones. The last thing holding most people back isn't knowledge. It isn't ability. It isn't opportunity. It's commitment. Real commitment. The kind that doesn't require daily reinforcement. The kind that doesn't collapse under pressure. Changes everything about how you move. When you are truly committed to something, the decisions become simpler. The distractions become obvious. The excuses become boring. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop having conversations about whether today is a good day to do the work. You just do it, because that's who you are now, not who you're trying to become, who you are. There's something almost eerie about a person who is fully committed. They carry themselves differently. They move with a kind of quiet certainty that doesn't need to announce itself. They don't flinch easily. They don't perform confidence. They possess it because it's been earned, not borrowed. That's the Thomas Shelby energy that people respond to. Not the violence, not the strategy, not the sharp suits. It's the unwavering commitment to the decision already made. The sense that the outcome is not in question. Only the work required to reach it. You can have that, not by pretending, by doing the work until it becomes who you are. Move like the decision is already made, because for you, reading this, feeling this, it should be. You came here looking for something, and I think somewhere in this, you found it. Not a trick, not a shortcut, not a temporary charge of emotion that fades by morning. You found a mirror. The question is whether you're willing to look at it honestly and do something about what you see. The old version of you had an expiry date. That date is today. What comes next is entirely up to you. Build something the old you would fear. Build something worth becoming. The work starts now. It always starts now. Go.